is just fantastic.
Captain's Log, Subdates 211215.3. On the 15th day of Moistmas, my whole crew gave to me a cameo from Chris Hansen selling Onision's bath water. I'm really starting to think this man will sell and do anything for money. So as we continue with our revisiting of other people we have covered on this channel, it would be right to cover another grifting hack that accomplished zero, in the positive sense anyway, and managed to ostracize himself from the majority of, let's say, the community, at once being well respected to end up becoming, well, yeah. I guess once you poke holes at somebody that could be considered a hero to others, yes, they do become unglued a little bit, especially when you see that the sheen that makes them look so resplendent is akin to that of a turd being polished with additional diarrhea. I am of course speaking of Chris Hansen, How to Catch a Grifter, as I believe I called it when I did my content constable on him in December of 2020. In that video, which did quite well on this channel, thank you to all that have watched it, we did go through his rise, his fall, and a bit more in other directions. Of course, there were other better documentaries by Nick Diorio and John Swan, of course. The first two anyway. But I had promised to do my video, and I think I'm going to play a couple clips that are relevant to this, so you can understand why I think of him as nothing more than a grifting hack. Oh, and he blocked me after he saw this video, so I'm just saying, seriously, you're a salty little bitch that can't take criticism. Welcome everyone to Content Constable. I know what you're all thinking. Omegon, why have you interrupted yourself only after the introductory welcome to and then that? Yes. It's because that's all you need, really. The video itself is 33 minutes long. It is linked in the pinned comment down below if you want to watch the entire thing. But I can actually accurately summarize it now. Chris Hansen was aligned with a number of people who failed to do their job properly and support victims of, well, the crimes that they claimed Onision had committed against them, going so far as to withhold evidence and essentially treat them like sheeple. Chris Hansen, while pretending to actually care, wasn't really doing anything. In fact, his delayed reaction to dealing with certain producers really didn't help him. The views started to dwindle because it turns out his connections in law enforcement accomplished nothing. So when he went to Onision's home, yeah, it looked like something might happen, but no, nothing happened. Neither side was willing to budge when it came to doing an interview, and a lot of it did in fact end up coming down to something very simple: money. See, Chris Hansen likes his money. It's why he does so many ads for different things that chances are he has no interest in or cares about. It's because he is very good at being other people's bish if there's a dollar bill on it. And while well respected when it came to How to Catch a Predator, people poked holes and realized he was no better than the groups that go round, the vigilante groups that go and knock on people's doors because they perform sting operations, getting it wrong half the time, costing networks money. I felt that Chris Hansen was a grifter because of all of that. And if you are interested in a full version of that, yes, the Content Constable is linked down below. So what happened afterwards? At the end of that Content Constable, I alluded to the fact that Chris Hansen was working on a documentary for a TV channel. A documentary on Onision, the investigation, perhaps put him on blast and get him arrested and locked behind bars. When he and his team approached many YouTubers who had dealings with Onision, the vast majority said, you can write off, because people wanted nothing to do with Chris Hansen because of what happened to those ladies that he had interviewed on his channel, but also because one of those that had accusations against Onision was helping create that documentary, that is. And because when people said they didn't want to be involved, victims alleged of Onision, well, they just ran with it anyway, ignoring the wishes of the victims for the grander picture because, of course, the greater good, everyone. Let's just ignore the fact that someone was allegedly violated before. You've just done it a second time, but in a different manner. I know, false equivalent, shut up. I'm still not wrong. Now, some people did actually get involved in this documentary, and this ended up causing some divides within commentary. Some, like Edwin, were convinced that they were doing something good and it would open doors for them. Turns out they were stabbed in the back as well, and Chris Hansen dumped on them at the first opportunity as well, which everyone rightly pointed at and laughed at because the fact anyone believed Chris Hansen was hilarious. I think it's just lucky we've all moved on from that, right? Many creators, Repsion more notably, Jacqueline Glenn as well, did go through those documentaries, broke them down, poked holes where there were many holes to be poked, pointing out that Chris Hansen and his team failed. But then they did fail further down the line, we'll get to it soon, don't worry. But the documentaries failed because they were trying to set up a number of strawmans. One of the more notable was YouTubers, predators. If you can interlock your hands, yeah, that. It's cute, isn't it? So what happened after this? Well, for a short while, Chris Hansen did in fact focus his energies on Darby Vanity. But I think if anything, Irate Alex accomplished more in his one video than anything Chris Hansen accomplished during many streams. On the YouTube channel Chris Hansen though, things have gone very quiet. He seems to mostly focus on doing one show a month, and as you can see here, some do well, some do not. The biggest hitter being one stream on EDP 445. And I guess it's somewhat coincidental really that Chris Hansen covered EDP, since much like many of his investigations online, the people doing one on him unironically fecked it up as well. But I am skipping ahead a little. On the 2nd of July 2021, an arrest warrant was issued for Chris Hansen, and the reason why is because he failed to appear in court. This was in Michigan. Hansen had in fact ignored a subpoena in relation to a police sting operation conducted in October 2020. Hansen had been called to testify about that sting operation. Hansen went to Instagram to later say that the legal issues stemmed from miscommunication about a hearing. Defense lawyers for accused predator Michael Lott had requested video from the investigation. The matter is currently being resolved. On the 3rd of July, Chris Hansen handed himself in to authorities, later being released by a Michigan judge, with him being briefly detained at a county jail in Corona, Michigan. It was believed that he would provide video evidence against 3 men charged, which is why this was such a big deal. Now, as far as Chris Hansen goes, things have been a bit quiet, to be honest, up until November. So where are they now, I guess is the question. And for this we actually go to Onision himself. I showed you a picture of something earlier, one of the very few pictures I've used in this video. Chris Hansen, while claiming he may well do a documentary on EDP 445, I'm assuming it'll be anything like the Darby Vanity one, so that, has been kinda working elsewhere. And I think I should just play a clip from Onision's own video, even though it was very well received, as you can see from the 189 likes. And no dislikes visible.
You know how that police report came out stating that Onision had committed no crime, just like I told you? Well, the guy who ran a campaign against me, what is he up to now? It says right here, Chris Hansen. What is Chris Hansen, the guy who took all your donations under a false pretense? What is he doing with his life now? Well, he's selling you penis pills. That's what he's doing.
Just because it amused me, I decided to memorize the opening line from a video on the website. As you know, I hate scams, and I've also won 10 Emmys. If Chris Hansen had dabbed, that video would have been a lot more interesting. Now, I did think when I saw Onision's video that perhaps this was a joke. Clearly it isn't. It's a thing. Oh my life. And there I was thinking Chris Hansen would just turn to Fiverr and Cameo and do essentially whatever people tell him to do for money. Now, I did go to look and see whether or not Chris Hansen still has me blocked. Turns out, yes, even a year later he's still a bitch, because he couldn't handle the fact that many of us creators held him to the mark for what can charitably be considered shite. There's a lot more to that, of course. Again, content constable down below. But in reality, as far as what Chris Hansen has done since this Onision quest, and since Onision is uploading videos to his channels, one can safely surmise Chris Hansen's investigative journalism failed magnificently. Granted, you're not going to get much from Chris Hansen when it comes to covering the fact that he failed, and I should insert this now, just because Hansen failed doesn't mean Onision's innocent. It just means this gets a lot grayer than it originally was. Prior to Hansen's involvement, with many people believing then he was the savior to the internet. Apparently the only good thing he's contributed toward the internet is his meme status, which is under threat because of his actions on his channel and the absolute tripe he has produced